At that point, Lufthansa crews were allowed to have just a single pilot in the cockpit. If the pilot or co-pilot needed to use the restroom, they could leave. The other crew member would fly the plane alone. A keypad and lock system kept intruders out of the cockpit, but that left just one crew member flying the plane. In China, Ireland, and the United States, it works differently. When one pilot leaves the cockpit, a crew member, like a flight attendant, enters the cockpit. Aviation security experts say that may be a better way to go.
The failing here is only allowing one person in the cockpit at any one stage. I would either say it's an absolute rule that no matter what is happening, there should always be two people in the cockpit, or alternatively, if you do need to leave, then there should be someone else who is trained to fly or has a rudimentary knowledge that can come in and stand in.
And now Lufthansa, as well as airlines in Canada, Norway, and the UK, are adapting that two crew member rule. Others may well follow suit in the coming days. There are other differences around the world as to how these issues are handled as well. In the United States, there are sometimes armed undercover air marshals aboard flights. Some U.S. pilots are even allowed to carry guns in the cockpit. But really, all of these measures are intended to keep a hijacker from getting into the cockpit. Air safety experts that I've been speaking with say there's probably no foolproof way to stop a pilot from crashing a plane once he or she is in the cockpit, but I say these rules are certainly designed to help make that less likely.
And what about when it comes to evaluating a pilot's mental health?
It's such a huge and complicated issue. Generally, it's handled by the airlines. Procedures differ from airline to airline and in different parts of the world, but in general, the screening relies on self-reporting and peer reporting when it comes to mental health issues. In the U.S., pilots are screened once a year before they age 40. After they're 40 years old, they're screened twice a year, just as part of their general physical examination. Similar procedures in place in Europe. Now there are calls for increased mental health screenings, but already a German pilots association is pushing back, saying that simply won't work.
As far as I'm concerned, that doesn't make any sense, because our colleagues cannot go to a psychologist before every flight. For one, that cannot work in real life. Constant supervision is neither possible as far as we are concerned, nor is it necessary.
Further complicating the issue are privacy laws in certain countries that forbid doctors from notifying employers if there's a mental health problem, but there are already calls to change that, especially when the patient is a pilot who has the lives of so many passengers in his or her hands.
That is so true.